My dad works in B2B marketing, but I never really knew what that meant. Then one day my dad came by my school for career day and told everyone in my class he was a big ROAS man. Then he just kept saying things like, the bigger the ROAS, the better, over and over. My friends still laugh at me to this day. I think it means calculating a return on ad spend. One thing's for sure, I'll be known as the ROAS man's kid for the rest of my days. Why couldn't you just be a fireman or a lawyer? Why? You ruined my life, Dad.
Not everyone gets B2B, but LinkedIn has the people who do. And with ads on LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people based on job title, industry, likelihood to buy, and more. Start converting your B2B audience into high-quality leads today. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Tim Hines hosts a great podcast called the Marketing Starter Podcast. Tim, tell these fine folks what they're going to get when they listen.
They're going to get great insights on how marketers can take an entrepreneurial attitude to what they do in marketing to be a little bit more successful. So I interview top marketers from all around the world, and heck, even some that are bottom and middle. It's really about marketers who embody the entrepreneurial spirit to be the best that they can be.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
They can, of course, subscribe on marketingpodcast.net, but they can also search for the show on all their favorite podcasting platforms, as well as visiting my website, which is tnhines.com/podcast.
You heard him. Go subscribe.
Welcome to Storylines Live, the only podcast that explores the meaning and the power of the most important story in business. The one that answers why someone should buy from you, work for you, invest in you, or partner with you. This is the story that defines the very character and nature of an organization. At WordWrite, we call this your capital S story. In each episode, we feature guests who have great insights on business storytelling, who can share experiences and key learnings to help you and your business do a better job of sharing your capital S story to deliver remarkable business results. Today, we're honored to have Max Eckstein of Ciancio Ciancio Brown as our guest. Now, Max is an attorney, but to call him an attorney is like saying, humans are sentient creatures. Well, most of them, right? There's a lot more to Max than that. He's had quite an interesting career as a duly licensed and trained lawyer. He's worked in marketing. He's been in business development. He's taught. He's been in private equity. I mean, he's been around the block. He must really find law somewhat boring. No, that's not true. And he's in Denver, Colorado. Ciancio Ciancio Brown is headquartered in the Denver area. They have a number of offices. We're going to talk about that today, I'm sure. Max, welcome to Storylines Live. My brief little, because I know you, I jumped around bio. Did I miss anything you think our audience should know about you?
Well, first and foremost, thanks a ton for having me. Greatly appreciate being here. And I think you got a good me being hopscotch all around nonlinear path.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on, Max, because nonlinear paths make for some of the best stories in business. And with all due deference to my many lawyer friends, a lot of times people don't think about lawyers as having those kinds of stories and lives. And I think your story illustrates many very fascinating aspects of what it means to be a senior leader and thinker and visionary in the legal field. So I'm really glad you're here.
Sometimes people don't use lawyers and friends in the same sentence, so I really appreciate that.
Let's not go down the lawyer joke thing either. Okay? we don't want to do that, right? Yeah, but no, I consider you a friend. You've been a great friend to our firm and to me, and I really appreciate that, which is another reason I'm so happy to have you on the podcast. Max, we always ask our guests on the podcast about the capital S story. Obviously, that is our secret sauce. That's the reason we exist at WordWrite, is to really help organizations uncover, develop, and share the story that answers why somebody would buy from them, work for them, invest in them, or partner with them. In your current state of your career, at the firm, personally, doesn't matter, maybe both, which of those four is most important to you right now?
It's a great question, and thanks for asking. I'll kind of hit on all four. I guess we really believe in buying, local and supporting our fellow businesses here in the states that we work in and the towns that we reside in. We really believe in investing in our people and our communities, and likewise, we believe in partnering, just with our clients, but also 40 plus nonprofit organizations and other community orgs here in Colorado. But truly, we get to work with our clients and we get to work with our colleagues and with our greater legal community to really kind of advocate for their causes. And I think that's really what's probably the most important thing for us. And so I think work is the one that I'd resonate with me probably the most.
Well, that's great. And, frequently when we talk about why would somebody work for you, it's about talent, right? But it's also
Sure.
about the aspect of partnering, and why would somebody choose to uh, pick your firm, right? As somebody to ride along on their journey, right? Um, every study I've ever seen, Max, among the most trusted advisors to any organization, legal counsel, maybe the accounting firm, right? So you're sort of in your work, you're kind of in the cockpit with the folks leading an organization, right?
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great way to think about it. I mean, truly, we talk about partners and kind of like building a board around a business, and being part of that greater influencers that would be there to help them kind of find their journey. And then it's different for the individuals that might be going down a different path there in litigation.
Well, now speaking of that, I hinted at your rather unusual individual path. I'm just curious, folks. Max's current title is Chief Operating Officer at the law firm. Now, a lot of law firms don't have a CEO, let alone a COO. What is it that you do every day?
I usually take out the waste bins, clean up the floors as much as possible. No, I
Somebody
think
has to do it.
yeah, no, truly believe in leadership, and we wanted to try to do something here a little bit different, and that we wanted to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for success. And so, really building a good foundation of what was important for us as a firm, but also for our people and for our clients. And so, my day to day, really goes around operations, and that's the operational piece of that. And so that some days we'll be working with our HR and doing during hiring and leadership activities. We're trying to continue to get better on a day-to-day basis. Other times it might be bringing a client. It might be working on some of our marketing activities. It might be working with outside organizations and trying to make sure that we're doing community work. So there's no typical day, which is what makes it fun. And I think that's what's exciting about the practice of law is we don't have a typical day. We get to stay curious. We get to lean into that. And that happens here internally as well as externally.
Well, I love that. In our firm, one of our core values is intellectual curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
I often say to people, it doesn't matter how old you are. Once you stop learning, you may as well be dead from the neck up. And intellectually curious is really important. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely it. I mean, one of the things that I learned from my mom, who was a teacher, was just having kind of that genuine curiosity, and I think that's probably one of the most important things. Yes, it's about your story, and one of the things we're talking about here today, but it's really about other people's story, and I think learning about that and being able to listen, and that's something we've got to do very well as attorneys, is being able to listen so we can actually figure out what it is, the true outcome that they're trying to look for, because there's obviously a litigation outcome, but then there's other times people just need to be able to tell their story, and they need to be able to be in the courtroom or get it out there in the world, and that can be as important as the outcome itself.
Beautifully said, my friend. And I think when most people think about attorneys and pop culture, they think the stories are the stories that they see told in the courtroom, right?
Sure.
And certainly that is a flavor of storytelling. When a litigator is representing a client, whether it's a civil or criminal matter, there is an element of narrative storytelling, right?
hmm
I'm curious, how does your personal story inform why you do what you do today?
Yeah, I mean, I think it really goes back to that curiosity piece. I love people. I was a pretty shy kid actually growing up, which is hard to believe if you
It
probably
is
know
hard.
me now. But I actually had a nickname as Shadow because I used to follow my father around and not talk a whole heck of a lot.
Wow.
But what I think that allowed me was my father in business and my mother in education allowed me an opportunity to interact with a lot of adults and have a genuine curiosity and learn from them and ask questions and try to kind of try to build my toolbox. And I think that was hugely important for me. Um, I think that's the same kind of curiosity I try to bring to work every single day, and working with our employees or working with our clients, or just working out there in the community. I think the other part of it is staying humble and trying to give back. And so philanthropy and service work has been super important, not for just for me individually, but also collectively as a firm. And that's something that we really believe in is giving back to community. We've got some special skills that we've learned, and through our I don't know experiences that we've had, then I think that we're able to take those and be able to create maybe a better future for others.
Well, tell our audience a little bit about that. I find it, and certainly lots of organizations in business, including law firms, work hard to be a part of the community. To me, it seems like this is something that's approaching a core value of the firm. Tell our audience a little bit more about what you folks do.
Yeah, well, on the side of being, I guess, a CSR, piece, the
Right.
corporate social responsibility piece, I
Yes.
think that's really important that we bring in our work to a lot of different nonprofits. I make the joke of, if you want to go save turtles, we'll find an organization for you to go give time. And if you realize living in Denver, Colorado, not a lot of turtles, so but we'll go out figure something out. I think where we've really leaned in as a firm is the bar associations here, and so helping out the greater legal community.
Yes.
Um, Managing shareholder is former president of the Colorado Bar Association. We've got several other leaders that are practice group leaders or industry leaders in their own specific practice areas. And then we've got people that delve into other areas that maybe is an interest, but is maybe not something they're practicing on the day to day, and that's where they can spend some time in those nonprofit organizations, sit on boards, give valued advice from their experience and learning. And then that helps our clients through those experiences and being able to work with those organizations, not only in the relationships we build with those communities and those nonprofits, but also and where we're able to take the learning that we get there and bring it into our clients' work
Hmm.
and some of the other relationships we build. So yeah, that's a little bit about how we could use it on kind of the CSR side of it for our firm.
I love that, Max. It's a maybe a little bit of overused phrase, but the term that comes to mind to describe that, I'll call it virtuous circle. You're
Yeah.
doing well by doing good, right? And you're living that principle, right? It's not just, here are our charities and here's a page on our website, and it's all connected, right? And to me, being a story nerd, obviously, that is how a story is authentic. If you say you're going to do something, you have to walk the walk as well as talk the talk. And what you're describing there is exactly that. So thank you for sharing that. Folks, we're
Yeah,
going to take
absolutely.
a quick break. We'll be right back with Max Eckstein of Ciancio Ciancio Brown in Denver and talking about the firm's story. And we're going to dig into Max's story a little bit more deeply, too. We'll be right back.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Tim Hines hosts a great podcast called the Marketing Starter Podcast. Tim, tell these fine folks what they're going to get when they listen.
They're going to get great insights on how marketers can take an entrepreneurial attitude to what they do in marketing to be a little bit more successful. So I interview top marketers from all around the world, and heck, even some that are bottom and middle. It's really about marketers who embody the entrepreneurial spirit to be the best that they can be.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
They can, of course, subscribe on marketingpodcast.net, but they can also search for the show on all their favorite podcasting platforms, as well as visiting my website, which is tianhines.com/podcast.
You heard him. Go subscribe.
Folks, thanks for joining us for this episode of Storylines Live. We're glad you're here with us. And Max Eckstein, who is Chief Operating Officer at Ciancio Ciancio Brown, a great law firm in Denver, Colorado. Before we took the break, Max, we were talking a little bit more about story. I want to give you the opportunity to dig in a little bit and talk about the firm and then yourself a little bit. You're involved in some very interesting things. But let's start with the firm. Tell us what the firm does, who you best serve.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, greatly appreciate it. So we're a litigation firm, and litigation is obviously what everybody kind of thinks about when they think about law firms. And name your favorite TV program, law.
Yes.
And and soundtrack that goes along with it, I guess. But litigation we really see as a journey, and many times that really starts with a lot of uncertainty. Can be risk or fear or anger, and maybe even disbelief. And we really try to, what's my analogy here? Try to be a captain of a ship and really help people navigate some of that litigation. And so I think there's probably 5 or 6 different kind of core principles that kind of guide us through that. Number one, I guess we really try to make sure that we shoot people straight. And I think that's probably one of the most important things. So we don't tell you what you want to hear, but we often tell you what you need to hear. And that can be very important for people to try to walk them through that. Second, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, keep going, brother.
Number 2, listening. I think listening is something that's just really important. And we touched on this earlier. We've got to understand first and be able to act second. And so everyone's situation is unique. And while we might delve into this and kind of the day-to-day and what we do, we really have to kind of get to the heart of what is important to you, and go from really just evaluating to kind of acting and making sure that we really understand and do the right thing for the client. We live and breathe this every single day, and so litigation's a little bit messy. That's the reason why you hear about dentists and attorneys and high alcoholism. So unfortunately, that's one of the realities that when you live in the fight. But that's also part of the thing that we really enjoy. I think you have a lot of type A personalities, meaning you have a lot of competitive people, a lot of former athletes, sports stars, whatever. And I think we really know the ropes there. And so regardless of the situation, we are really committed to resolving the matter, together. And I think that's really, really important.
That's great stuff.
Yeah, we litigate on multiple different areas. And I think that also is really unique for us. So we're able to use creative strategies kind of across the firm to help outmaneuver, other firms in that regard. So perfect example there would be a divorce, might also have some sort of a domestic violence piece. And so our criminal defense team and our family law team can work together and, really think about a plan and how we can kind of work together there. And I think that's something that's really, really important.
Mm-hmm.
We're on this journey together. We're on the journey together really with the client. And I think that's super important for us to be not just the counselor, the navigator there, but also might be a strong shoulder and might be somebody that's just a sounding board. And so because we have been there, we've experienced it quite a bit. We often counsel an awful lot, especially in the domestic family law area. And I think that's an area that's really important to have somebody there that has that experience, understands, knows appropriately when to lead and when to listen. So, we've got great people, as I touched on before, some of the best award winners, super lawyers, best lawyers, mentioned the Bar Association and how we've had a lot of people be in leadership, roles there as well. And so, Yeah, we enjoy litigation. We enjoy what we get to do. We enjoy working with the people we get to work with, and we're lucky enough to be able to work with the clients we choose to work with.
That's awesome, Max. What would you say makes your firm different from competitors?
Yeah, it's a great question. A law firm is law firm is law firm, right? And I
Not
think that
really.
yeah, well, I think that's what a lot of people kind of think in some ways. And
Mhm.
so I think that we really have that kind of the core commitment to excellence in our legal advocacy, as well as kind of fusing our collective talents together, to really provide a great value to our clients to help them achieve their goals. And so I hope that next level representation is kind of what sets us apart, that we don't, settle for mediocrity, I should say,
Right.
and we really strive to exceed our clients' expectations, both in the quality of our services, but also the outcomes we obtain, and hopefully we continue to receive the peer recognition as well as client recognition for kind of achieving those outstanding results.
Mm, great. Now, get a little personal here. What
Sure.
brings you the most personal satisfaction from your work?
Yeah, boy, I think it's leadership, and it's our people, I guess, is what it really boils down to. And so, I think all of us strive to be a better version of ourselves every single day, hopefully, and I hope to bring some inspiration, some leadership here. Hopefully, a smile into the office every single day, because it's not always easy doing what we do, and I think that as a leader, that's what you can do. You can help, improve everyone's day every single day. Um, I guess lead by example. Pressure is a privilege, and we've got some pressure of kind of like doing a great job here at work and making sure that we really level up with people. So do the right thing all the time, every time, and I think that a lot of the good work just kind of comes from there.
I I can't let you go without asking you about a couple of things that you do
Sure,
are directly related to what you do, but they're not in your paycheck. So,
sure.
uh, can you tell people a little bit about what you're doing with Nepal? I think they'd find it very interesting.
Yeah, so very blessed with another gentleman and some others from Italy, as well as here in the U.S. And the firm gave me great latitude in being able to take off from work about 3 weeks, and we took off. And the long and short story of it is, went and did a dental mission there, and so started trekked all the way up to the Mustang region of Nepal,
Wow.
which is sort of a unique area that is in between China and Nepal, and really rough area to live in the world. And a lot of people have not seen medical care ever, if for several years. And so
Hmm.
we were able to service about 400 some folks there with dental cleanings, and another 400 some folks that were super tough. And I do mean super tough, and that they had major dental work done
Oh, wow.
on cardboard boxes and or laying out in a courtyard someplace.
Oh,
And
wow.
it was a super humbling experience to be there, to say the least.
My gosh. Now, you're a dentist as well as a
No,
lawyer.
no,
What did you do on this trip?
definitely not. No, we were there to support, raise money, and purchased a portable dental machine that we were able to take there. Um, the longer version of the story is that Boulder suffered through a pretty bad fire here a few years ago, called the Marshall Fire, and in that experience, one of my good friends lost his home. And through that time, and kind of working through his community there, and as they were starting to rebuild, we had raised some money to try to help some of that community. And he met a Nepalese man. And when we went out to lunch and we're talking about new adventures and things that we wanted to go do, we turned to him and said, what could we do to help you? And he said, well, what I would really like to do is do some sort of dental clinics in Nepal. So here's a guy that just lost his house, lost everything, is in the country, and he is thinking about all of his cousins, brothers, friends, community in Nepal, not himself here, who's trying to rebuild. And so through that, we decided to raise some money, buy this dental machine, hire dentists, not a dentist, and make sure that that we had good care for those people. Meanwhile, an amazing experience for us. And I think any experience that you go out and do that you take more away from it than what you're trying to give is pretty an amazing one. It's you're always trying to do the right thing, and if you're going to go do something like that, we're lucky to be able to work with local leadership, and they were able to kind of give us what they needed rather than a bunch of call spade a spade white guys walking over there and trying to tell them what they do need, but instead work with local people to try to make a difference. So bias towards action.
Amazing story there. But and okay, speaking of bias toward action, we have to talk about the Summit Collective, which has been rebranded. And being in the marketing and PR field, I understand why. Originally called Studs,
Sure.
formed during COVID, right?
Correct.
Small, tactical, unabashed dudes of service. Summit Collective does sound a little bit more, oh, I don't know.
Professional. I don't know.
Yeah, that
something
would
like
be a
that.
good word. Yeah. But tell our audience about the Summit Collective.
Yeah, so it's a national leadership group of businessmen who are motivated and driven, really kind of a growth minded mindset to really make a positive difference in our world, but also in our work, in our life, and in our communities. And so part of that is what we kind of dub as elevate, amplify, and connect.
Mhm.
And those are the three pillars of the group and what we really think is just really important. And so, yeah, it's a group of lifelong learners, guys are trying to seek in self-improvement with a give first mentality, trying to stay humble and curious. And I think overall, just a really good group of people. And so it's our own personal board of advisors, I guess, of work and life, and just excited to be part of it with a group of guys that are just I know are going to do amazing things and continue. Already have done amazing things, but will continue to do even more amazing things. And I hope really move us forward. So bias towards action, as I said, is the motto.
All right. That's one of the mottos of the group, and I think that's really great. You can't just sit around and talk about how you like to make things better. You got to make a difference. And Max, I think you've demonstrated that today by sharing your personal story, talking about the Summit Collective and Paul and Ciancio Ciancio Brown and the work that is done there on a daily basis. Max, how can our audience find you?
Yeah, so law firm's website is www.colo-law.com. You can feel free to also look me up on LinkedIn or email me, which is Max Eckstein at colo-law.com. It's MAXECKSTEIN at COLO-law.com. Yeah, or feel free to give me a call here at the firm. Phone number is 303-451-0300.
I'm impressed that you know your own phone number. A lot of
Yeah, I
people,
tell you what, yeah, on
especially cell phone
occasions.
number. Folks, we'll have all that information for you in the show notes. Max, once again, I want to thank you for being our guest on this episode of Storylines Live. Truly enjoyed talking with you, learning more about you personally, about the firm, the work you do. And folks, glad to have you along for this episode of Storylines Live. We'll see you in the next episode, coming to you soon, wherever you get your podcasts.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business? Tim Hines hosts a great podcast called the Marketing Starter Podcast. Tim, tell these fine folks what they're going to get when they listen.
They're going to get great insights on how marketers can take an entrepreneurial attitude to what they do in marketing to be a little bit more successful. So I interview top marketers from all around the world, and heck, even some that are bottom and middle. It's really about marketers who embody the entrepreneurial spirit to be the best that they can be.
Awesome. Where can people subscribe?
They can, of course, subscribe on marketingpodcast.net, but they can also search for the show on all their favorite podcasting platforms, as well as visiting my website, which is tianhines.com/podcast.
You heard him. Go subscribe. This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.